Hey everybody, I just wanted to jump in here really quickly to talk about repeating emotional patterns in our lives. So one of the most frustrating things that my students and clients talk to me about is how they have repeating patterns in their lives. So they'll be in lots of different situations but always just feel unworthy or undeserving. Or they'll be in lots of different relationships and just always feel anxious, like the person is going to leave them. There's all sorts of ways that these repeating emotional patterns play out in our lives, but generally it's a pretty uncomfortable experience. Usually they're very familiar, well-worn ruts in our psyche that we don't really enjoy, but we don't really know how to get rid of. So I'm Karenna with Hello Inner Light, and I am an emotional healing coach. I use a technique, an emotional processing technique called regenerating images in memory to help my clients really quickly identify and heal the old emotional wounds, subconscious blocks, and self-sabotaging core beliefs that are holding them back from living the lives that they want to live. And in this video, I'm just going to talk about why our subconscious has everything to do with these repeating emotional patterns in our lives, why it's really not our fault, but that there is something we can do about it in order to heal and shift these pervasive emotional states. So, where do these emotional states come from? The answer, of course, is childhood. That's always the answer, isn't it? But when we're little, from the ages 0 to 7, we are laying down all sorts of neural wiring. During those years, we create incredibly specific models of ourself and of other that exist in our psyche. And so what I mean by that is, like, let's say that when you were a kid, you always felt judged and belittled. So the models, the very specific, detailed, and powerful models that you might have in your subconscious psyche from that is that the model of yourself is worthy of judgment or bad or just always on everybody's nerves. So you get this kind of internal sense model of I'm bad or I'm wrong or I deserve this. And then you get a model of the world, and the model of the world is that the world is belittling or the world is judging, the world is harsh, the world will never see me with kindness, something like that. I mean, they're deeply specific. The language that we use to express them within our own psyche is deeply specific to us. But I think in general, you can kind of get the sense that you get a sense of who you are and how the world is going to treat you, how the world is going to feel. And so these become our implicit emotional expectations that we carry with us into the future. So there's that saying, like, I look at the world through rose-colored glasses. And what I always tell people is that we are looking through the world through childhood-colored glasses, right? So we have implicit emotional expectations. Like, deep inside us, we just implicitly expect to be treated the way that we were treated as children. And that even becomes our comfort zone. Even if we don't enjoy these mental models, even if these mental models aren't even accurate, they can be so powerful in our lives that we'll be in all sorts of different situations and we'll still feel subconsciously like that little child who's undeserving, or that little child in a harsh world where nobody's going to see them with kindness. And so we just carry these subconsciously through our lives, and it's no fun, and it's not your fault either. You know, I have a lot of students and clients who come to me who have been sort of wounded emotionally by this whole idea, like, you create your reality, you create your thoughts create your feelings. You know, we have this kind of belief in our society that we're these logical brains, you know, that we're these logical intellects and that we can control, our intellect can control everything else. But really, it's much more complicated than that neurologically. But most of our thoughts are actually coming from our subconscious. Most of them are originating in our subconscious. In fact, current neuroscience shows us that 95% of our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are coming from our subconscious mind, which means only about 5% of our life is controlled by our conscious mind. So if these feeling states feel compulsive or automatic or just pervasive. They're always there. That's actually normal. And sometimes when we tell ourselves that we can completely control that with our conscious mind, we're just trying to make ourselves comfortable because it feels out of control or something like that. Also, it just fits into our conception. In this world, we think that we're like thinking beings who are very rational and logical, walking around being rational and logical all the time. But the truth is we're really feeling beings. We're feeling things in our guts. We're feeling things in our bodies. We're feeling things emotionally. And that has a much bigger impact on what's going on in our lives. So anyway, in our subconscious, we have these very specific mental models of ourself and the world. They form our implicit emotional expectations, which then form how we experience life. And for me, when I was a child, I just felt shame a lot of the time. I just felt constant shame. And so as I grew up, I had social anxiety, like really, really high social anxiety, and a ton of self-judgment, just debilitating self-judgment. And that's how I walked through the world. And in my 20s, I kept just making my world smaller and smaller and smaller because the anxiety just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the self-judgment kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so I did all the things because I was very uncomfortable. I was really miserable. I was uncomfortable in my skin. I was uncomfortable in social situations. It wasn't a fun way to live. And I knew I wasn't like enjoying life this way. I mean, I could put on a good face. In fact, I'm one of those people who can function really well even when struggling inside, which you might be able to relate to. Lots of my clients and students are just really, really high functioning people. But on the inside is where this vulnerable pain or vulnerable chaos or vulnerable compulsive anxiety or whatever it is lives, even though on the outside they can come across as the one that everybody turns to and the one who overfunctions and the one who takes care of everyone. That's just really common in my clientele, so you might be able to relate to that too. And so I tried all the things, you know, I started meditating, I did yoga, I did energy work, and it brought it down like the tiniest bit. And I did a full decade of therapy, and I kept bringing it down. And then I found regenerating images and memory. And in 3 months, my anxiety dropped by 50%. It was incredible for like this anxious, self-judgmental person who had such a shame-based concept of self. I was shocked that I was able to just like clear that much in such a short amount of time. And really it's because regenerating images and memory takes you into your subconscious, where you then get to really rumble with those parts of your psyche that want to be heard and seen. And what I really discovered was that I was still expecting the world to shame me. I was just in the world expecting people to look at me with derision and to see the worst in me. But I was in a beautiful community. I had great friends and all sorts of stuff. No one was shaming me. This wasn't the truth of my reality. I was seeing it through my childhood colored glasses and expecting it, even though it wasn't really happening. But I could make up stories that it was happening, like if somebody gave me a funny look or if I said something super awkward at a party. I'm kind of the queen of saying awkward things, you know, so my mind could spin on stories to try to explain why I always felt this anxiety. But really, once I went into my subconscious and just cleared that shame and kind of reality checked it, I realized like I wasn't being shamed anymore. And all of a sudden I could be in my body in a different way. I could be in my life in a different way. And I just devoted my life to regenerating images and memory. It's what I do professionally now. It's what I do personally for my own self-growth. I continue to get to know myself and to clear out even deeper levels of shame and anxiety and that kind of stuff. So anyway, that is what I do to get to the roots of it in the subconscious, because that is how we actually change our childhood colored glasses. That's how we take them off, clear them off, reality check them, and we get to come into a different sense of who we are in the world. And regenerating images and memory actually rewires your neural pathways. And so it just happens that you feel different in the world. So anyway, that's how I deal with the repeating emotional patterns. And I am doing a free workshop next week. It is Thursday, June 24th at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And I would love it if you came to join me. The link to sign up is in the description of this video. And It's called The Secret Wisdom of Your Triggers. And in this workshop, I'm really going to lay out a holistic model of the psyche. So I'm going to really lay out the conscious and subconscious and how these forces are playing together. I'm also going to talk about why triggers are wise messengers from our subconscious and how we can actually use them to grow our self-awareness and to facilitate our emotional healing, so we can actually use them as messengers to get a deeper sense of healing. And I also do a short regenerating images and memory experience, so you get to actually feel the transformation. You actually get to work with your own psyche, so you get a much bigger takeaway, I feel like, from the free training. Because if I just gave you the theoretical knowledge, that doesn't change anything necessarily for how you are in the world. So we actually do an experiential so that you get to feel different in the world. So I would love for you to join me. Again, the link to sign up for my free training, The Secret Wisdom of Your Triggers, is in the description to this video. And I just hope you found this helpful. All right, have a great day. Thanks for joining me. Bye.